Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. In case you're new to my channel, my name is Amy and I'm an online reseller. What that means is that I go to places like thrift stores, garage sales, places like that. I find things that I can buy for cheap to then resell online. I mainly do that on eBay, and I also utilize a couple other platforms as well. It's been a couple weeks since I've made a video. We did have the holidays. It was really busy, so I didn't really have a chance to make any new videos, but I definitely wanted to take some time today and get one in, especially since it has been a couple weeks. As you guys know, we're still really behind on our what sold videos, so I decided that I don't want to just do a week at a time. In this video, I want to go ahead and go over like 3 weeks of sales. These are sales between December 10th and the 30th. So that's like 3 weeks of sales. It'll pretty much get us the rest of the way through December. I just want to go ahead and get caught up, you guys, because we're so far behind at this point. Let's try to get caught up. So this will take us pretty much, like I said, through the end of December. So yeah, I have 21 sales total from that time frame that I want to go over with you guys. Sales really weren't that great for us in December. We had some decent sales, but just not a lot of sales. So unfortunately, sometimes that's the way it is. We don't sell a lot of items that are a big deal for Christmas. And on top of that, I think a lot of times once you start getting more towards the middle and obviously end of December, people aren't going to be shopping online as much for Christmas items anyway, because they might not get to them in time, or it might even be after Christmas, considering some of this time frame. So let's not waste any more time and we'll get right into it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the sales. Like I said, this is from December 10th through the 30th. So that's a huge time frame, 3 weeks worth to encompass just in one video. Like I said, though, we only have 21 sales, so that's nothing crazy. So I don't think this video will be ridiculously long. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's do our eBay sales first. We only have a couple of Poshmark sales to go over and really nothing from any other platform. So these are our eBay sales. First up, we have these Nike men soccer shoes. Paid about $1.59 for these at the bins, and they sold for $25. If you're not new to my channel, you obviously know what the bins are because I talk about them all the time. If not, I'll just tell you real quick what the bins are so you're not confused. That is also referred to as the Goodwill outlet, and it's where you pay for everything by the pound instead of having to pay for each item individually. It can be a really good and cheap way to source. Next up are these Crocs shoes. Paid about $1.69 for these at the bins, and they sold for $19.98. Next up, we have another pair of shoes. These are a pair of Coach women's shoes. Paid about $1.68 for these at the bins, and they sold for $20. Next is this Polo, Ralph Lauren men's polo. So I paid about $4.32 for this at a Goodwill, and it didn't do as well as I thought it would. It did finally sell for $16.50. However, I've had this for quite a while. One of the main reasons I picked this up, because I don't pick up every single Polo Ralph Lauren that I find. But this one had like these sailboats on it, like a whole all over pattern. And I thought that this would do better than it did. But like I said, I sat on this thing forever. And so I finally ended up taking this offer of $16.50. Is it an amazing profit? No, but obviously I'm still making a profit since I only paid about $4.32 for it. So just let that be a lesson. You don't want to pick up every Polo Ralph Lauren. And sometimes even when you think it's something special that's going to do well, it might not do as well as you think. So, you want to keep your buy cost low, especially when you're picking up Polo Ralph Lauren, because you're not always going to get a very high dollar amount for those pieces, and a lot of times you might have to sit on them for a while. Next up was this straight down men's golf polo shirt. Paid $4.69 for this at a Goodwill on an out-of-town thrifting trip, and it sold for $20. Next is this pair of Rag & Bone men's jeans. Paid about $4.26 for these at our local thrift store, and they sold for $30. The next one isn't a huge sale, but I wanted to go over it anyway, even though it is also below, that's why I went over the Ralph Lauren shirt, even though it's below that $20 mark that I usually like to stick with in these videos. I wanted to point out that I had thought that that would do better than it would. This is another kind of one of those situations. So this was a Dale Earnhardt Monopoly game. It was brand new, sealed in the package. Picked this up at a garage sale for $3, but I picked this up at a garage sale, I'm pretty sure it was like 2 years ago. I thought it would do good. A lot of the special edition Monopoly games, a lot of times can sell for a high dollar amount, depending on what they are. Dale Earnhardt's very popular. There's a lot of Dale Earnhardt collectors. So when I saw this and it was brand new and sealed and, it had all of that going for it, and I thought it was going to be something really good. Plus $3 buy cost, really not that much. I didn't pay some ridiculous amount of money for it. So I thought it was going to do well. However, as I said, I'm pretty sure it was like 2 years ago, at least, that I found this at a garage sale. So sat on this forever and ever and ever, and finally sold it. I took a best offer of only $15 on this game, but I was glad to finally just get it out the door. So a lot of times, if you do have items that have been sitting for a long time, even if you originally thought that you would get more money for them, sometimes it's better just to go ahead and take an offer. If you get one, even if it's below what you really wanted, when you're sitting on the thing for 2 years, you only have $3 into it, go ahead and take the $15. How much longer did I want to sit on that? Not really. I didn't even really want to sit on it that long. So, another lesson for you guys, even if you think something is going to be good, even if you find good comps for it, because I'm pretty sure that I did see much better comps for this, but for whatever reason, I couldn't get this thing to move. So, again, I could have kept on holding on to it, waiting until it sold for whatever it was that I had it listed for. I think maybe I had it originally listed at like 25, 30. I don't remember for sure. It wasn't any crazy amount. This one didn't go for as much as some special edition Monopoly games do. But like I said, I definitely originally wanted more out of this than I got, but was happy to finally get it out the door and take the $15. All right, next up were these pair of Dansko women's boots. Paid about $3.81 for these at the bins, and they sold for $56.23. So that was actually a pretty good sale. That was probably one of the best sales of this time frame, actually. So yeah, keep an eye out for things like this. I didn't even know that Dansko made boots. I'm more used to their, clogs. I have also sold some sneakers and things like that from them, but I think they're most well known for their basic clogs, like the nursing clogs. But obviously they sell other things. These boots were new to me, and again, sold for $56.23. That's great. So, keep an eye out for something like that. Next up is another pair of Crocs women's shoes. Paid $3.71 for these at Goodwill, and these sold for $24.97. Next is a Yeti mug. Found this for $5 at a garage sale. Now, sometimes Yeti is really good and you can sell it for even more money. than this ended up selling for. However, this had like some special custom like label on it. Like it had a name on it. It said Mike, and then it had like a Disney Cruise logo on it, I think. So that can kind of detract from the value a lot of times, because obviously, you know, you also have to wait for a specific buyer that wants that on their mug. If you find a basic Yeti mug that doesn't have any kind of custom, you know, things on it, it may sell for a little bit more. People really like Yeti. It's a very good brand to look out for. But obviously, again, you know, selling this mug, it was like a travel tumbler type mug, but selling something like that with custom labeling on it, stickers, whatever you want to call it, is going to probably detract from the value 99% of the time, because you have to wait for the right buyer to come along that's going to be looking for that exact thing. This did actually end up selling for $20 though, so that's not bad. 5 into 20 isn't anything crazy, but I will take it. All right, next is this Burberry Brit men's shirt. Paid $5.44 for this at Goodwill, and it sold for $60. Now, that was actually the best sale of this time frame on eBay. The best sale of the time frame overall is one of the sales from Poshmark that we will go over, but that will come at the end. So don't go anywhere. But this Burberry Brit men's shirt, it was just kind of a basic button-up shirt, but Burberry is like an excellent brand to find. It's very expensive to buy brand new, and the resale value of it holds up pretty well also. Even for just something basic like this, there wasn't really anything special to it. Now, I did originally have it listed even higher than this, so it took a while to sell, but I finally had a buyer that first I had it on sale, but then I also had a buyer I was kind of working with back and forth offers, and we finally settled on this offer for $60, and I was happy with that. Again, only paid like $5 for it at Goodwill, so being able to sell it for $60 was awesome. All right, next is this Jack LaLanne Power Juicer. Paid $5 for this at our local thrift store, and it sold for $39.99. Next, this one was kind of cool. This was a Bop It mini keychain, and this was brand new in the packaging. Found this at a garage sale for only $1, and this sold for $39.98. So, some Bop It things can be worth some money, like some of the full size, you know, Bop It's, certain ones, I don't remember off the top of my head specifically which ones do the best, but these little mini Bop It keychains are pretty cool, and especially the fact that it was brand new in the package. Like, this had never been opened. This was, you know, a vintage item. Like, this wasn't something from any time recently. I don't remember if this was from the 90s or early 2000s, whatever the case. It was technically vintage and still in its packaging, had never been opened, used, anything. So that's pretty cool, and that makes that item pretty desirable. So if you see anything like that, make sure you pick it up, especially if you can get it cheap. I mean, I would have paid even more than $1 for it, to be honest, because, I mean, even if I would have paid $5, I still sold it for $40. So, you know, that would be fine. But I was really excited to find it for only $1 and then to be able to sell it basically for $40. Next is another really good one. These were a pair of Ralph Lauren sunglasses. Again, only paid $1 for these at a garage sale, and these sold for $48.73. So that's another good Ralph Lauren thing to look out for. I've sold a few pairs of sunglasses from Ralph Lauren, and they usually tend to do pretty well. Next was another good one. This was a North Face women's goose down puffer vest. Paid only about $3 for this at a garage sale, and this one sold for $41. So this had a couple things going for it. Obviously, it's the North Face. The North Face is a very good brand. And anything that's like a puffer vest or puffer jacket, especially if it's goose down filled, tends to do very well. Again, those are expensive items to buy brand new, and they typically have a good resale value. If you ever find any kind of goose down jacket, vest, anything like that, I would almost push to say that regardless of the brand, you'll probably do pretty well with it. But if you also have a good brand going with it, obviously then it's going to sell for even more. So again, this was North Face. It was a goose down puffer vest. Therefore, $41. Pretty good. So, but keep your eye out for items like this. Next up was this Hilary Banks bobblehead. So this was a character from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. This was a bobblehead, and actually what happened is my stepdaughter got this at a local like minor league baseball team game that she went to. They were like giving these bobbleheads away at the game, and she didn't really want it, so she's like, here, if you want, throw this up on eBay. And so that's what we did. We put it on eBay, and it actually sold for $20. So that was pretty cool. I mean, that was just a free item that we didn't pay anything for, and she didn't want, so we sold it for 20 bucks. Next up are these Vionic women's slip-on loafers. Paid only about $1.48 for these at the bins, and they sold for $22.80. Next was this Lost World of the Warlord Remco sword. So this was just a vintage toy or accessory, really. It was this little toy sword, like very tiny miniature to go like with an action figure. And as I've told you guys in previous videos, if you don't watch my videos, obviously you don't know, but I'm selling off toys that belong to myself and my brother when we were growing up. Stuff that we just don't have that nostalgic attachment to, and we're just trying to get rid of, and I'm just trying to make some money on. So this was one of the items. I didn't have apparently the action figure that went with it. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it got lost somewhere along the way. Maybe eventually I'll come across it. But I did have a few different pieces that were like this, where they were just the accessories, but I didn't have, you know, the actual action figure to go with it. Here's the thing. Sometimes that can actually do really well. Certain pieces like this can actually sell for good money. So that's why I decided to list any of these little weapons, these little accessories that I had for different action figures, even if I didn't have the whole action figure. So this little tiny piece of plastic sold for $24.97. So that's really cool. Again, something I didn't have any money into, and something that, again, was this little tiny piece of plastic. Not even the action figure itself, just an accessory that went with it. Sold it for almost 25 bucks. That's just cool. And if you guys have anything like this from your own childhood, you may want to think about selling it unless you have an attachment to it. Sometimes you might be able to find things like this at thrift stores or garage sales. So keep your eye out for any kind of, you know, vintage toys, vintage toy accessories, anything like that, because they can do pretty well. The final one on eBay that I want to go over with you guys was kind of sort of a mistake on my part. So I probably pretty much broke even with this one. So this was a Sega Genesis 16-bit console. It came with two controllers and things like that. I picked this up for $30 at a garage sale. I really shouldn't have paid that much for it. The reason I did is because I saw it in a garage sale listing. I thought the sign that I could see in the picture said $30, but I wasn't 100% sure, because, you know, sometimes when people take pictures from their garage sale, it's hard to tell. It's hard to see their price stickers or whatnot. But I saw this in an ad, and I went to this garage sale because I thought they'd probably have some other really cool stuff, which I did buy some other things from them, and all their other things were really cheap. So if you kind of evened it out, instead of saying that I paid $30 for this, I mean, I could have done my numbers differently and just said, hey, I spent this much at the garage sale, but I got all these different things. But I usually don't do my numbers like that. There are some resellers who do. They'll just figure, okay, I went to a garage sale, I bought 5 things, I spent $50, for example, so I spent $10 on each item. Okay, I don't do it that way. I keep track of what I spent on each individual item. Like I said, though, a lot of the other items I got at this sale were pretty good, and I've done really well with them, and they were really cheap. For example, there was a camera lens that I bought at this sale for like $1, and I feel like I remember, did I sell it for maybe $75? I'm trying to remember for sure because it sold maybe a couple months ago. I might have even put it in one of my what sold videos, but that's the point. Like, apparently I got other things at this garage sale as well that I've done well with and that were much cheaper. So I could look at it that way. However, my lesson with this is that I got a little overexcited about finding this item, and I had looked up comps on it prior to going and looked like it, would sell for pretty good money. And so I bought it for $30. When I brought it home, it dawned on me, I don't really have any way to test this. I don't have any older TVs that I can plug that kind of system into. These kind of systems don't really plug into the newer flat screen TVs. You kind of have to have an older TV to be able to really test these kind of game systems. So that was my full, complete, brainless moment on my part. And so I basically had to end up selling this thing as untested, 4 parts, don't know if it works, that kind of thing, which really brought the value down. And so I did end up finally selling it. I mean, it took I found it this summer, so it wasn't, years or anything like that. But it did end up selling for $40. So after you consider my fees and things like that, I'm pretty sure I probably broke even on this. Didn't really make a profit. But the reason I wanted to share this sale and bring all that up was basically for that lesson, Don't be like me and get overexcited about something without completely thinking it through. Because if you don't have a way to test something like this, you might still be able to sell it. You probably will still be able to sell it. But the selling price that you're going to be able to sell it for is going to be way lower than what you thought that it would be, since you don't have a way to test it. So keep that in mind. Don't make the mistakes I do. I want to share my mistakes with you guys too, so that you can see that I mess up just like anybody else, and hopefully you guys will learn from my mistakes and not make the same ones. All right, that's all the eBay sales. We just have 2 Poshmark sales to go over, and one of them, like I said, was the best sale of this time frame. So let's get into that. The first one was just this bundle of 2 Hollister men's shirts. My stepson gave these to us to sell. They were his. He was just getting rid of a bunch of old clothes that he didn't want any longer. And so he, instead of donating them or whatever, obviously he knows we sell on eBay. Here you go. Sell these. It was nice. Had a Poshmark buyer come in, wanted to bundle 2 different shirts together, gave them a little bit of a deal, and they bought both shirts for $20. So nothing crazy there, but free into 20. Take that every day. And the final sale of this time frame that was a Poshmark sale and was the best sale of the 3 weeks was this Patagonia Mesh Trucker Snapback hat. This is a pretty cool story behind this one as well. So I found this at the bins. Only paid about 32 cents for this at the bins. Hats are like one of the cheapest things you can find at the bins. Obviously, they're so lightweight that they don't cost much when you're paying by the pound. So only approximately 32 cents spent on this hat. Now, here's the story. When I bought this hat, or when I found the hat at the bins, it was filthy. It had some nasty, like yellowish staining and all kinds of stuff on it, because like the hat was like a white hat. And I was like, wow, I don't know if I should get this. You know, I don't really know how to clean hats because I've never really done that before. But I'm like, you know what? When I looked up comps for this hat, and just knowing Patagonia in general, and knowing Patagonia hats can do really well in general, I thought it was worth it to spend 32 cents and then try to figure out if I could find a way to clean it. So that's what I did. I picked it up, brought it home, Googled how to clean hats, the best way to clean hats, found an awesome way to clean them, tried it out, and it worked perfectly. This thing came out beautiful. No stains, no dirt, no nothing. This hat practically looked like brand new after I cleaned it. And I was very happy about that. So this ended up selling on Poshmark for $80. Yes, an $80 hat. So if you guys never think that hats are worth anything, you would be wrong. There are definitely hats out there that are worth some decent money. This is not the first hat that I've sold for good money, and I'm sure it won't be the last. However, I think this might have been one of maybe one or two of the only, I think I actually found another Patagonia hat that same day. And I think those are the only Patagonia hats that I've probably found, if I remember correctly. The other one, I don't think sold for quite as much, but I can't remember because it sold a while ago. And that's another lesson, okay? There are ways to clean hats. So if you find a hat that's dirty and disgusting, you very well may be able to clean it. I'm telling you, Google it. I think it was something, and it's been a while now since I got it and cleaned it, but I think it was some sort of mixture of dish soap and vinegar or something like that. Or was it hydrogen peroxide? I'd have to look it up again. However, whatever the mixture was, and you can Google it, that's how I found it. I just Googled the best way to clean hats, and I found this idea, and basically I had to just let it soak in there and then scrub it a little bit with like a nice soft brush. And things like that. So it was mainly just soaking it in this solution. And it was a pretty simple solution. I believe, like I said, it had something to do with maybe dish soap, vinegar, hydrogen peroxide, some combination of those. So normal things that you're probably going to have around your house. And it was fairly easy to do. So again, don't be scared to pick up hats that are dirty, stained, disgusting, because chances are you may be able to get that dirt and stains out. And especially if it's a hat that's worth it. Now, I mean, would you really want to do that for like a $10 hat? I mean, I guess that's up to you. That might not be worth my time for me. But for a hat this expensive, yes, it was absolutely worth the time and effort to find a way to clean this. And it did take a while to sell. I had people offering me really low dollar amounts on this hat at different points in time, and I just knew that it was worth more than that. And this is one that I sat and waited for, and I'm glad that I did, because it did end up selling on Poshmark for my full asking price of $80. And again, I mean, I didn't pay that much for it, so could have I taken much lower? Sure, I could have, except I knew what this hat was worth, and I was willing to wait for it, because did I really also care about sitting on 32 cents? No. You know, when you spend more money on something, sometimes you're more likely to be like, God, I really got to get this moving because I spent this much money on it, and I don't want to just be sitting on that loss of money. You know, like sometimes that can play with your head, you know, the way you think about it. But this only costs 32 cents. So sitting on 32 cents for however long to wind up getting $80, hey, I was perfectly okay with that. So I hope you guys all had a very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, or whatever holiday it is that you may or may not celebrate. Whatever the case, I hope you guys had a great last couple of weeks since I talked to you last. I had a good Christmas and New Year's. Lots of time spent with family and things like that. Hope you guys also spent some time with family, friends, whoever it is that is most important to you. All right, guys, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a like. It will help the video and it will help my channel. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. It will let you know every time that I post new content, which hopefully, again, I will get back into doing more regularly. And if you have any comments or questions, make sure to comment down below and I will answer anything that you have. All right, guys, I guess that's it for today. So until next time, keep on hunting for that hidden treasure.